All right, everybody, we already did the overview. That's the first support video that's posted on Google Classroom and on the task for the week. So this example problem we're going to go over talks about, it gives you two parallel lines and a transversal. So like before, the chevrons, M and N are parallel because of these two arrows that are called chevrons. And then P is a line that cuts through both of those parallel lines, and that's called a transversal. So the M stands for the measure of the angle. So the measure of angle 2 is 75. Well, we measure angles in degrees. So that means the measure of angle 2 is 75 degrees. Okay? So if that's 75 degrees, and then M is a line, and we know lines are 180 degrees, well, that means I can find this side over here has to be 105 because 105 plus 175 makes 180 degrees, and it makes a line, a linear pair. So then I could say that 4 go in this opposite direction here, down the line P. 4 is 75 degrees. In order for 1 and 4 to make that line, or in order for 2 and 4 to be equal because of the rule of vertical angles. So if we stay with the vertical angle thought for a second, 1 and 3 are vertical, so that means this must be 105. Okay, and so if you add all of those angles up, it makes a circle, which is 360 degrees. And similarly, these two angles, 2 and 3, must add to 180 to form a line. 3 and 4 must add to 180 to form a line. So when you have the situation of two parallel lines cut by a transversal, there's only two solutions to all of the 8 angles. It's the angle and the other angle that adds up to 180, right? That's called the supplement. Okay, so the angle and its supplement are your two choices. Well, if I know angle 4 is 75 degrees, and remember from earlier, we said corresponding angles are the ones that match up. So here's 4 and 8. So that must mean down here that this is 75 degrees. And then vertical to that would be 6. So that's 75 degrees. And on top of that, 75 with 4 and 75 with 6, those are the alternate interior angles. Okay? So those are congruent. That means 3 and 5 are alternate interior angles. So that's 105 degrees based on the fact that 3 and 5 are alternate interior angles and they're congruent, or based on the fact that 1 and 5 are corresponding angles, they match up, or based on the fact that 105 and 75 form this line, which is angles 5 and 6. That's a linear pair. And even further, 4 and 5 are consecutive interior angles, so these two angles need to add to 180 degrees as well, all based on the theorem we looked at earlier in the first support video. So then we can fill in the final angle down here. This is 105 because there are a lot of reasons. 1 and 7 are alternate exterior angles. 3 and 7 are corresponding angles. 6 and 7 are a linear pair. 5 and 7 are vertical. 7 and 8 are a linear pair. Okay, and then 3 and 7 are corresponding, like I said before. So that's the first problem. Okay, in the second example, we have P and Q. So P is parallel to Q. And then we have M and M is parallel to N. So if we focus on the horizontal lines, M and N, then the interior is 4, 3, 5, 6, 12, 11, 13, 14. If we focus on P and Q, those parallel lines, then the interior angles are 2, 9, 3, 12, 6, 13, 7, and 16. So whichever lines you focus on, let's just simplify by focusing on line M and N, and that would make Q a transversal with these 8 angles, and P would be a transversal as well. So based on the information that's given to us, in this case, the measure of angle 3 is 102 degrees. So if we have 102 degrees there, and I think that's all the information we need. So I'm going to put a box around that because that's our given information. And then based on our given information, we can fill out every other angle. So this is calling for, the first one is angle 5. Well, so angle 5 is right here. How does angle 5 relate to angle 3? Well, if it's on the interior of these two angles, these two lines, M and N, and on the alternate side of the transversal, they're congruent, which means angle 5 is 102 degrees, and the reason is alternate interior angles. That's how you would write that. Because the second part of the directions say tell which postulate, which is basically a rule. Postulate and rule mean the same thing. Or theorem, which is an understanding, right? I think, or a rule as well. So both of these you can kind of consider as rules or understandings, okay, that everybody accepts to be true. So B wants to know what angle 6 is. Well, angle 6 is 78 degrees. So we know this is 102. We know this is 78. And I could say 5 and 6 are a linear pair, or I can say that 6 is 78 degrees, and I can say linear pair, and then I might indicate with angle 5. I could have also put consecutive interior with angle 3. All right, so now we just roll through these. Angle 11, all right, so angle 11 corresponds with angle 3, so we know that's 102. So I'm going to go through and just mark their values first. Angle 7 right here is 102. It's either a linear pair with 6, vertical to 5, all right? There's, those are two strong reasons or postulates you could use. 15, so angle 15 right here, 105, 102, corresponds with angle 11 and corresponds with 7. So we know that's 102. And then finally 14 corresponds with 6 and is supplementary or a linear pair to 15. So it's 78 degrees. So there's a lot of different reasons I could use, right? So number 11, let's say that I knew 11, and the rule I used was corresponding angles, and then I could put angle 3, like it corresponds to angle 3. And then number 7, I could say the same reason, corresponding angles, okay? And then it also corresponds with angle 3. So once you start to roll with those reasons and understand the concept of those reasons from the first support video, you can move pretty quickly.